I I'm so confused at what Fujimoto's plan is, because he's got it staged up like, okay, this is gonna be the final battle before going into the last arc, going to hell and getting power back and whatnot. But what is his plan on beating Makima? Like, Makima is super busted already. Like, she's got all these different powers and she's unkillable. And Denji is intentionally not using the full power of the chainsaw. I'm guessing he wants to actually be in control, doesn't want to use power that isn't his, sort of thing, or he just can't achieve it. Either way, like, Denji isn't using it. And here Makima just gives him her blood so he'll get back up and keep fighting. And again, I don't know what his plan is, because I fully believe that Fujimoto has a plan. I fully believe he has an idea of how he wants Makima to lose. Like, I doubt he's gotten as far as he he set this up just to not have the idea of how Makima falls, like, on the list. We just have to get there. But the question right now is how? Just because it was such a fast-paced chapter, and again, it's one of those ones I really like because you can get through a majority of the chapter lightning quick. Like, chapter starts out and Makima's already got like a bunch of her controlled minions right around her. Denji gets back up after she pulls on his starter cable, and he immediately cuts off her head, but her head just fixes back onto itself, because we know how her abilities work. She can't die essentially as long as there's people in Japan. And I doubt Denji's gonna kill her until there's no people left in Japan. I don't know if he's gonna do that one, but they're just brawling. He's doing a lot of moves like to cut off her head, take her on, and she's able to keep going because of the whole fact she can't die. Whereas Denji's just doing what he can. I'm curious to know, like, if she didn't have to be so careless, because she doesn't have to worry too much about getting hurt in this fight, so she doesn't have to like be as cautious. Like, if she didn't have that power, I actually am very curious to how she would do, because I think she'd be a lot smarter of a fighter and probably not try and get hit as nearly as much, because here she just doesn't care, because she knows any damage she takes is going to is going to get healed up. But going from this, like, Denji's just getting his ass like handed to him. He's getting demolished. And then you get to this panel. And the thing about it being a very fast-paced chapter is interesting, because for the most part, like, there's not a lot of dialogue, but this page by itself like is enough to captivate somebody for a good couple minutes. I think this is one of those times where the black and white aspects of a manga really works well, like with everything in this, like this whole layout. Like, you have this voided out blank white background for the most part, with just a little bit of drawing of like signs of the ground, of the dirt, and then you have all these crosses like as far back as you can see, and Makima just looking dead emotion into Denji as she like rips his heart out. It was such a crazy scene. Like, it's like, this was the part I didn't expect. Like, Denji still losing to Makima is like, okay, I can see that, just because we know Makima's really powerful, like, and then the question is, how is he gonna win? But her doing this much is really crazy. And I was talking to some guys yesterday about, was it yesterday? The other day, about what exactly Denji's gonna do, and he has regenerated from like ripping his heart out when he was the full Chainsaw Man. This is different, considering this is a lesser version of himself, but he's like, I would imagine, gravely injured, because if she could do this, it's not the same as him ripping his heart out and throwing it back into back to the fight. It's gonna say into orbit, but it's from orbit, but it just into the general atmosphere and stuff. It really impressive, by the way, but I don't know if this Denji is going to be able to do that. And this Denji, like I said, he's strong, but he's not Makima strong. And Makima is just absolutely like just ran through him in this fight. Like, there was no there was no real back and forth. There was no real fair kind of match for Denji. It was Denji got dominated and then got completely just put in his place. And Makima, like, I really like her as a villain, and it sucks that we're gonna see her go soon. I would assume that Denji is gonna kill her soon, but having her go down, it for one is gonna be rough, but two, how are they gonna do it? Because her whole fact that she's unkillable as long as there's people in Japan, because her whole thing with the prime minister, is by itself like a really big question of, like, you know, her powers. There's still like the fact that, you know, Denji has the ability to do it, to defeat her, and we know that there are methods with the whole fact that if, you know, he eats her, then he has the potential to erase her. It's, again, it's so interesting yet weird of a setup right now, just because of how many strange things in Chainsaw Man are all kind of like wrapping together, and how each of those strange things are really just building off of each other and resulting into scenes like this. Like, again, I didn't expect this at all, but it looks so good. Like, I can look at this panel for so long. Like, it just visually looks amazing. Like, it's just the way that she's gazing into him, and you know Denji's in pain. Like, you can tell by just like his face. You can see his eye like there behind that whole mask piece of his chainsaw head, and he's had his heart ripped out. And for Makima, it's just nothing. She's like, doesn't even care. And she's like, well, if you're not going to be the chainsaw man, then you can just die. Like, don't get in my way. And that's when she rips the heart. And I'm guessing Denji's going to regenerate from the heart, because it's something we've seen him seen that he can do. But, you know, the question is, like, can he do it again, like in this lesser form? But also, will it really matter? We're in a very strange spot when it comes to Denji and Makima, and it's so interesting, I think, actually, just to watch, to observe, because you don't know what exactly is going to go down. So instead of it just being like a reader, you're just kind of like a blind watcher. And I've mentioned before, I've been saying it since I started reviewing Chainsaw Man, that it's very unpredictable. It's hard to make predictions of what's going to happen in Chainsaw Man, just because the manga is so weird, and he just does stuff like this that you wouldn't really see coming. Like, the idea of, like I said, if Makima beating Denji again, it'd be like, okay, yeah, I can see it. I don't know if it'll happen, but I can see it, you know, going down. But ripping his heart out like this, like, way more brutal than I think anybody predicted. So Makima's whole thing, I definitely really, I'm hoping it goes out like on a high note. I like I've said, I think Makima right now is the best villain in Weekly Shonen Jump. Like, I would put her, it'd probably be her, and then you have people like Mahito and Shigaraki coming up, right? For right now, for like the current villains in Shonen Jump at the moment. Those three are really solid, but I think Makima is just way more progressed in her villain storyline, and it's been done so well. And I think that's one of the extra things I really like about Makima, because the thing about Chainsaw Man, on top of that, just one last thing, is its total villain roster isn't superb. And it's not like, oh, the villains are bad. It's like this, there's been, you know, a lot of build on Makima, and then any other villains like that we, you know, really like, that I think are really well done, like Reze, we either have her controlled in a case like this, or when she comes back, if she comes back, I think it's a better way. If she comes back, we don't know if she's going to be, you know, the same level keeping up. Like, there's still, you know, there's still a strong amount of time left that we could get a couple more really good villains. Like, I don't know if we're going to get another Makima, but I would really like Chainsaw Man to get a couple more like really solid villains to kind of like rank up there. Because Makima is really cool, like, but I'd consider the way that she is for other villains. It's kind of like how you have Aizen in Bleach, or Zareth in Fairy Tail. You just have somebody that just stands leagues above the rest in both popularity, how they're done, and just general execution, how their stories really kind of like play out. Like, everything about them really kind of just folds well together, and I think that's one of the things Makima has. is she just has this perfect presence as the villain of the series. But anyway, other than that, they'll comment below, thumbs up the video, friend the like button, subscribe button, and check out my other videos. Other than that, I appreciate everybody who's already subscribed, and thank you all for listening. Bye.